Hey everyone, this is Josh Taylor from Canine Education. Welcome to the podcast. I have a very special guest with me today. This is KJ, Dr. Goldenberg.
Hi there. Happy to be here.
Awesome. How's it going?
It's going great. Exciting times.
Yeah, so I've been hearing there's a lot of movement in your department.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah?
With a nice group clinic, opening up some new locations. We're Midtown, we're Sudwest Griffintown. We're going to be opening up West Island DDO. A lot of exciting things going on with Royal Vet.
My gosh, that's amazing. So there's going to be a Royal Vet now in DDO,
Yeah,
right? So I guess it's like your West Island location.
that's right. Covering anyone who can get to us from the West Island. We're
Cool.
there.
That's awesome. Where are your other locations?
So we've got Midtown, which is on DeCarry near the Orange Julep.
Oh, nice.
And we've got Sudwest Griffintown, just past the Atwater Market area.
Nice. So you're like covering like all districts.
That's right. We want to give good access everywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, obviously I have tons of clients that are going to Royal Vet. I hear incredible things, and
It's nice to hear.
it's a little
Thank
perk
you.
that I know you, obviously. So that's also really awesome to be a part of and to see you grow,
Thanks.
into this
Yeah.
huge empire. It's so awesome.
Getting there, maybe.
Yeah, no, that's great. So today, anytime I get you, obviously we're going into behavioral.
That's what we're here for.
We want to get into behavioral. What am I dealing? I'm dealing with a lot of clients right now with resource guarding.
I'm seeing that too. Yeah.
Are
absolutely.
you? Okay. By the way, do you think that there's been an up of resource guarding, and do you think it has anything to do with the fact that people work from home, or not really?
Not really. I think maybe we're seeing it affect people more because they're home all day. So where normally they'd leave their dog with a toy or a rawhide and there'd be no one around that they'd guard it from. Now it's, I'm working. I'm going to go to the kitchen to get a cup of coffee. My dog thinks I'm getting up to go take his toy.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Working from home is like a big thing now.
Yeah.
Compared
it
to
changes
before.
the whole environment
Yeah.
of how dogs are interacting with their families.
Yeah. Not to get too off topic, but for example, separation anxiety. Before COVID, I had separation anxiety clients, but I have to say a lot of them were retired. It was like, they were retired and like, let's say they had to leave or appointments for 2 hours, this and that. I would get a lot of those type of clients.
Yeah, sure. Otherwise, dogs are used to you going to work 5 days a week.
That's it.
And
now it's like,
not so much. That's a whole other topic.
yeah. We'll save that one. So resource guarding. I'll give you an idea of how. I know there's a lot of elements to it, but one of the things that I deal with a lot in the resource guarding dilemma is people don't understand that it is normally a trust issue.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
they're looking at it like my dog is being a brat or dominant.
Dominant comes up a lot. Yeah. They don't see the trust. You're right. It's kind of, my dog should know. I need to train it. I didn't do something right. They're being a brat. That's a good word for it.
Yeah, and I'll be very transparent. 15 years ago, for how and what I believed at the time through my training and knowledge, etc., it was more of a forceful approach to quote unquote correct resource guarding, which was, yes, your dog is in charge, and you're not being the boss. You're not you're not being in charge, and so that would involve showing my using my presence, right, to kind of like get the dog to like back off, like Caesar Milanish.
Yeah, you get in their space even more, and even with us, we are always talking to new puppy owners, right? And it's, I'm picking his food up and putting it back down and putting my hand in his food so he learns that I can take his food away. Ooh, I don't know. I wouldn't want someone coming up and putting their hands all over my sandwich when I'm eating lunch.
I literally have goosebumps from that comment, because that is so, you reminded me of something. We used to say that.
Yeah.
Us dog trainers, we used to say, take the food away, put your hand in there, remove it, give it back to them, show them that it's yours and that you can
all
take
of the
it.
quote good puppy early training socialization protocols had that. Make sure you play with your dog's food.
Yeah, this is so true. And I can't say every client, because I have a lot that are like, for example, rescues. They were living on the street or whatever the case is. But I'm getting more and more of, yes, I did that. Hence, my dog has resource guarding. Obviously, I can't prove that is the sole purpose of why. Usually, there's timidness. There's other little quirks in there.
I find a lot of those dogs have a little baseline anxiety. Not enough to necessarily diagnose an anxiety disorder, but they're timid, they're a bit more on edge, they're prone to developing something.
This is it. And so my first big protocol, which usually baffles a lot of people. I won't get into the full detail of it, but I'll give you a partial aspect of it. I will get people to get as close as they can. Now, when I say close as they can, I don't mean where the dog is growling at them or
That's
whatever.
Too close.
Yeah, this is too close.
Way over threshold there.
Exactly. But I might be, let's just say for argument's sake, I'm 6 feet away and my dog is eating in the bowl or the slow feeder or whatever we're using. And while my dog is eating, I'll toss a couple of treats and I'll even walk away.
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to build that savings account, that trust. And I describe it as a savings account to just kind of get it into people's minds that whenever we are taking something away with a resource guarder, it's like a withdrawal. You're withdrawing money from the account. Sure. And a lot of the times we're bankrupt when we're playing this game.
We're way in the red.
Exactly. And so what we're doing, this is where I talk about it being a marathon, is we're building that savings account. We're trying to get them to start believing that you are not, or I should say, we're getting them to believe that when we do come near them, not only do they get to keep the original resource, they get a possibly higher value resource, and the human walks away. So this way they get both. This is like a pure positive approach.
Yeah, and that's going to build up their trust and confidence way faster than me just sitting 6 feet away and doing nothing.
Exactly. So that's typically the protocol I go, which I get a lot of kind of like, what?
Why am I rewarding him?
Yeah,
he's doing nothing.
Exactly. And I especially our regular listeners, I'm sure they're going to be like, oh, okay, here he goes again. But my idol, Dr. Ian Dunbar, one of the things he always says is the secret to dog training is to reward nothing.
Absolutely. Oh, I quote him all the time on that. Yeah, he's my idol too, for sure. Because often what we want from our dogs is nothing. Calm is doing nothing. Sitting politely, waiting to put your leash on, that's doing nothing. You got to reward it if that's what you want to see.
Yeah, and this is that stigma again of, well, if he's not doing anything wrong, then he should just know that this is the way it is. I mean, that's like saying to my 8-year-old, he should just know how good he's supposed to be. And they don't. They experiment. They're chaotic. Kids are chaotic,
They're going to push the boundaries.
Exactly.
You have to give them a clear limit. If you don't give them the limit, they're going to test it. And if all you're doing is saying no, they're going to try 100 things before they figure out what the yes is.
Exactly.
If you give them the yes right away, they've gone, oh, I can do that again. I want that reward again.
Bingo. I mean, their dogs are instinctual. And because they're instinctual, they focus on that positive. I know it's hard to grasp, but I truly believe this. I tell people all the time, dogs will never do anything that's negative to them.
Right.
It's always it might look weird or feel weird, but it's always a positive in their mindset. Whether it's someone walking by your house and the dog is barking and you're like, oh my gosh, why does the dog keep doing this? Or the resource guarding, for that matter. I've been taking away the bowl, putting it back, taking it away. Now all of a sudden, a year later, my dog has built a little bit of confidence, still timid, but now all of a sudden I go to take away the bowl like I always do, and of course I get a growl. And in the mind of the human, it's, how dare you?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And very likely, if we'd been filming that dog over the past year, there were signs before the growl. Us humans were pretty slow, right? We don't pick up on he tensed up a little, he leaned away, he's whispering. I don't like this. Can you not do that? And we didn't hear him. What's he going to do? He's going to say it louder. Once he finally growls, now we're listening.
Yeah, and that's good. I don't think I say that enough with people, like in the sense that there were signs, like they were there. One thing I do say often, though, is I like to try to use analogies, especially humans.
You have good ones, yeah.
Yeah, I try. But one of the big ones for me is even my 8-year-old. I could, even though of course he's still growing, there's going to be tons of times that these kind of things happen. When he was 5, let's say I was doing a certain thing with him, whether it was like, putting him on my shoulders or whatever it is, right? And it looked like it was fun. He was having a great time. Then, as he matures and he gets a little bit, I guess, more comfortable with himself, he tells me, Daddy, actually, I never really liked that. And I said, oh, really? I said, I had no idea. And that's probably not true. I didn't, but maybe there were signs and I didn't realize it. But my point is that as they mature and as they gain more confidence with you, doesn't mean that they're not timid, doesn't mean that they don't have anxiety, but as they get more confident with you, they might say, hey, I actually don't like this.
Yeah, and with that analogy, what you said was great there, because you're never going to say to your kid, how dare you talk to me like that and tell me you didn't like this? I'm your father, you have to. No, you're going to say, gee, thanks for telling me. Okay, let's fix this situation. And that's the dog too. You don't say, how dare you growl at me? We think that's what we have to do, right? We have to show him who's boss. Don't you growl at me. I say thank you when a dog growls at me, because you know what? That could have been a bite. He told me
100%.
Before biting me, thank you so much. I can fix this now.
Yeah, that is such a good point to coincide with that. It's positive reinforcement as we're evolving. It is getting better. People are learning more, but it's still out there a lot. Like we still have that kind of negative concept, which is like just exactly what you said. I would never say that to my son. And I'm pretty sure not many parents would.
Yeah, it's almost like dogs are one generation behind, right?
Yeah.
We used to kind of tell the kids, how dare you? You
Yes.
go sit in the corner, you're to be seen and not heard, that kind of stuff. Most people have realized that's not how we raise our kids. It's coming with dogs too. And not to say dogs are exactly kids, your analogies work well. There are exceptions, but we're realizing every creature learns better when you're listening to them, respecting what they're saying, and working from a point of everyone being comfortable. Now we can move forward.
Bingo. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you this. First off, does medication come into play when it comes to resource guarding? Because you were talking to me about how this isn't necessarily a mental illness.
That's right. And when I'm seeing cases, it's usually that they're at the point of mental illness. Sometimes people are mentioning it in a regular checkup, or they're not sure and I'm the first person they come to. Usually they've worked with a trainer, they've kind of realized they're working with mental illness. Most of the time, resource guarding isn't the mental illness. It might be a symptom of something else going on. Like I mentioned, a lot of them do have underlying anxiety. Resource guarding itself fits into normal canine behavior. If resources are scarce and another dog, another person comes up to take it from them, a dog's instinct would be to guard it, to keep it for themselves, because instinctually they need it. So by definition, that's not mental illness. Now, that doesn't mean we have to let it happen, because dogs live within our society and our homes. That's a teaching issue. That's a training and a trust issue. But sometimes there's a mental illness there. Sometimes there's underlying anxiety. So you may not be able to make progress and gain trust if the dog has an anxiety disorder, because when your brain is constantly nervous and panicking, you can't learn. So medication may help if you can't even get 6 feet away from your dog. They're panicking outside of the hallway of where they're eating. It will facilitate you getting to a threshold where you can work with your dog. and recognizing any other problems around it that the dog is facing will make progress with the resource guarding faster and more easily. So my job comes in seeing what's behind the resource guarding. What's the resource guarding a symptom of? If it is, sometimes it's a standalone issue, and saying, let's address all of this. Maybe it's with medication. Maybe we're diagnosing a mental health problem. Maybe we're doing other approaches. Medication isn't the be all and end all of mental health. Again, just like with people. So it's part of it, and it can help if there's something underlying leading to it. But no, resource guarding is not a mental health issue. If it falls under normal canine behavior, it's an integration into acceptable human society issue.
Wow. And let me ask you, in the sense of the medication, because this is something I get a lot of, and I'll be, as always, very transparent. Again, maybe 15 years ago, who am I to say this, to be quite frank, but hey, it is what it is. But I would be totally against medication. I would be like, no, your dog doesn't need medication. It's just about, I didn't know better. I wasn't educated enough. And where I'm going with this is now I'm literally the complete opposite end of this, where I really thank medication for a lot of the scenarios and mental illnesses that I have clients, their dogs that are going through, especially anxiety related, like separation anxiety, where they're going through drywall. I mean, they're chewing through wires. They're getting
full-blown
injured.
Panic attacks for sure. And in that sense, resource guarding may be a panic attack. The dog just gets so anxious that it comes as this outburst that could be growling and biting and barking. It's a panic attack in some of those situations where it's really so above and beyond what you would expect. And I think that's really where a seasoned, educated trainer like yourself comes in, of you know so well what's normal and you have so much experience addressing this that you'll very quickly see this is outside of what's normal. This might be mental illness. And that's when you have to bring a vet into it who's comfortable with diagnosing and treating those types of things. And medication, it's changed in the past 15 years. It's changed in the past 5 years. It used to be, well, it works in people, so we're going to try it in dogs. We don't really know the dose. And in people too, it used to kind of just sedate you till you didn't have the mental power to react to your environment anymore. It's what we used to do with dogs. We'd kind of just give them a sedative and they'll be passive to their environment in that case. And people come to me and they say, well, I don't want my dog to be a zombie. I don't want to medicate him. It's not what medication does anymore. Mental illness is a chemical unbalance in the brain. The medication will rebalance the brain. You have your dog, you have their personality, they're alert, they're playful, they're going for a hike with you, but with balanced brain chemistry. And that's the goal. Sure, sedation is a side effect. That means we have to manage the medication. We have more options available to us. We can adjust the dosage. There's so many more options now of how we can fine tune it so that we're really just addressing the illness and not dealing with side effects.
Okay, you nailed it. That should be a snippet that we do. Okay, you said something, and when I was mentioning about how I used to think about medication, one of the big factors of what I used to say is like, we don't want your dog to be a zombie, or we don't want your dog to be a vegetable. And I get that a lot now.
It's
where,
a fear.
Yeah, where my clients are saying, yeah, but I'll recommend, like, okay, this could be a decent idea to look into this. And it'll be something along the lines of, I don't want it to alter my dog's personality. I don't want my dog to be a vegetable. I think I get that pretty much 9 out of 10 times.
I do too. And it's kind of leading people through how much things have progressed. Even in, like I said, the past 5 or 10 years, not even going back 15. If you had a dog previously that you tried it on, it's different now. The medications available are different. The way we know to use it is different. You also have to give it a chance. When you're talking about, 1, a dog with anxiety, 2, a medication that's altering brain chemistry, it's going to take some time to stabilize. The first 2 weeks, they can be rough. The dog can be sedate. And what I tell people is, maybe it's the side effect, but also if I'm having anxiety all day, every day, I'm probably not sleeping very well. I might just be catching up on my sleep if I'm finally feeling more comfortable.
Oh man, that's a huge thought right there, because you are absolutely right. I don't know how many times, again, I'm not going to try to get too off topic, but it kind of coincides with what you're saying, which is like people think that if their dog is laying down during the day, it's like, oh my gosh, my dog needs to do something. Like active rest is non-existent.
Yeah.
And it's so important. And that right there, where, oh, we're on the meds, but now look at him. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he or she is just kind of laying down on the bed, and it's like we automatically go to this like guilty spot where it's like it must be the meds, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, dogs sleep 20 to 22 hours, 23 hours a day. People say, oh, that's cats. Cats sleep all day. Everyone knows that. Dogs too, especially a family pet. Look, we're talking wolves, they're out, they're hunting, they're foraging, they have to be alert for dangers out. This is a family pet. You feed them their meal, they go on their walk. What else are they doing for the day? They're going to sleep. Look, yes, we want a mental enrichment and exercise and stimulation. Sure, that can only take up so much time. They really are wired to sleep any other part of the day. And people do, they think it's normal that their dog is up and active. That comes back to COVID for me, because when you were out for 8 hours a day at work, your dog was sleeping. So of course, when you get home, they're ready to be active. The number of people we had coming in early COVID, my dog is so lethargic. Yeah, no, your dog always slept the whole day. They're not lethargic. You're just home to see it now, and probably walking them twice as much as you used to because you're home now.
This is such a great episode because what we're talking about right now, I mean, yeah, oh my gosh. And I get that too as a dog trainer.
Yeah.
They'll always think that the dog needs to be active throughout the day, and I see these almost like they no fault of their own, but they contradict themselves. Oh, my dog is always up and about. I can't get my dog to calm down. And when I look, as a trainer, a vet, we need to kind of look into the life a little bit, right? Like, okay, what are we doing? What's it like at home, etc. And we're not letting the dog calm down because we keep engaging. Okay, lick mat, which don't get me wrong, these things are great, but it's like lick mat. Okay, and now Kong. Okay, now let's obedience. Let's do our obedience. Okay, let's go for our walk. Oh, she's crying and staring at me. Okay, we're gonna do a snuffle mat. Okay, let's hide some treats and it's this.
I'm getting anxious just listening to you do all of this. Wait, yeah, can I lie down? If every time you see the dog lie down, you go, oh, he needs an activity, that dog's looking to you and saying, oh, lying down is bad, I can't do this. Oh, that's increasing my anxiety big time.
Yeah, and so now these dogs are getting more activated, which, yeah, sure, we say all the time, but I feel like it gets too close to it's like a spectrum, right? And we say like you need to be active, you need to do this with your dog, and some people will take this to a whole different level.
Yeah. And if you're home, it's not he gets his meal in the morning, he gets his meal in the evening. It's, well, I'm going to give him his snuffle mat and his everything else. Well, maybe he's resource guarding because he's getting these little tiny meals, and that could be super healthy for him. Spreading it out instead of just 2 meals a day might be great in many situations, but maybe he's not feeling full because you switched how he's doing it. Maybe that's not the way this specific dog is wired. Some dogs only eat once a day. So maybe you're just not following that dog's natural rhythm, and they're allowed to be individuals. They're allowed to have a different need than your neighbor's dog, your previous dog, the dog you saw on Instagram with this perfect trainer. Yeah. that what everyone holds themselves up to, my dog should be like this.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I guess, like everything in life, right? We look at it on social media, the cute little snacks and the hour and a half it took for them to make this creation with the apple, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just cutting up the apple normal and putting it in the lunch bag.
Yeah, it's so much social pressure of those Kongs with yogurt and frozen blueberries, and I have to get a raw egg into it.
Make sure it's organic.
Oh, yes, organic, because my dog really cares. Oh,
Don't get me wrong. I know we all want the best for our animals, our children, etc. Right? I get it, but I sometimes I feel like it can be extreme.
It's social pressure making you think that this is what the dog needs, whereas if you have time and you want to do a special treat for them, sure thing. If you enjoy setting up the snuffle mat and the special games, sure, do it. You don't have to do it for your dog to have a good life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so true. So, Royal Vet,
Yeah.
DDO, when is it happening?
Ooh, we're about a month out, so it's going to be February, end of February, before March for sure.
Okay, end of February. Am I going to be your first customer there?
I don't know. You can come opening day. We'll book you in.
Sounds good. All right. So Royal Vet, again, I'm with Dr. Goldenberg, KJ. We have Royal Vet, you said DDO. You also have one in...
Midtown on the top of DeCarry, and one in Griffintown, Sudwest area.
Incredible.
It's
incredible
exciting stuff.
What's your Instagram for Royal Vet?
It's at Royal Vet Co., maybe.
At
if
Royal
you search
Vet Co?
Royal Vet, it'll come up. We've got a Florida one and a Quebec one, so it'll be obvious.
And of course, podcast listeners, I'll make sure I put this in the description so that you can also follow Royal Vet, of course. Am I allowed to say this? Well, I'll cut it if I can't.
You can say that.
What about, don't you have locations like in the U.S.? Because I have a lot of U.S.
Yeah, so
followers.
it kind of worked out funny this way. We've got 3 locations in Miami, and we've got a couple snowbirds that kind of go to the Florida locations and the Montreal locations.
Wow.
Of course, we've got our full-time Floridians also there with those 3 locations.
Okay, so as we know, the podcast reaches a lot of people, so we have a lot of U.S. Our Instagram, a lot of U.S. followers as well. So check out Royal Vet if you're in Florida.
Yeah, it's great teams down there. They're really nice clinics. They do nice work there.
Amazing. And one last thing, because we were talking about behavioral. For sure, our regulars already probably know who you are because we've done live streams together. We've done a lot of fun things together. First aid, remember the first aid?
Oh yeah, that was a great course.
Yeah, that was awesome. Where was I going with this? If there is behavioral, what do they do? How do they reach you? How do they?
So the first step is always you go to your regular vet. You want to make sure your dog's not in pain. There isn't something medical going on. If you've ruled that out, then you want to start going to your behavior resources. And maybe it is one of your trainers, you reach out to Josh, and Josh might say, ooh, we'll start working on this, but I feel like there's something more going on. Not all regular vets are comfortable with managing behavior problems. It's kind of my special interest. I've done a lot more training on it, continuing education, stuff like that. I do take on behavior cases, and there are also specialized veterinary behaviorists. There's only about 2-3 of them practicing in Quebec, so sometimes it's a little hard to access them, and that's why I love taking these cases. Even if they end up needing the specialist, at least we can start working and you're not on that big long 6-month wait list.
Yeah, I've had clients in the past, like before I even knew about you, where the wait list was like 6 months plus.
Yeah, it's come down a little bit. Maybe it's more like 3 months most of the time, but if you got a dog resource guarding and your family members can't get close to them when they're on their special bed or they're guarding their rawhide treat or their food dish, you have to at least start working on it right away.
And we have to figure out the risk as fast as possible.
Yeah. Safety, everyone needs to be calm, safe, secure in their own home.
Yeah. So this means that they can reach out to you.
They absolutely can.
You take these, you'll take these type of clients.
I can be a generalist regular vet, but I also take specifically for behavior cases. You can always book with me.
Beautiful. Well, from now on, anyone that comes to me where we are thinking medication is something that we need to do, I will absolutely 100% be sending them to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And we can make a plan together, because then I'm sending them home to work on things, and you're the one who's with them, seeing their daily life, seeing in their home, and finessing those kind of behavioral exercises and making it applicable to their life. So it's really some teamwork in there.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Well, KJ, you're incredible. So happy about Royal Vet coming to DDO.
Thanks. I love sitting down with you, Josh. It's great.
This is awesome. So everyone, thank you so much. So I am going to put in the description below the Royal Vet's Instagram, any other main followings that they use, social media. Sorry, and yeah. Well, thank you so much, KJ.
Thanks, Josh. This is great.
And everyone, stay tuned for another episode in a week from now. Thank you so much.